What is up, ladies and gentlemen? How y'all fucking doing? Welcome to season 4. All right, of the Ice Media Show. I'm your host, Ice. Um, and I agreed to come back, and that's why I'm here. Uh, love the fuck out of y'all. We live in interesting times now, don't we? So got about mm, got about 30 minutes. We're about to knock this out in about 30 minutes. And just to touch base a little bit. This is the first episode of this new series. I'm gonna need you to tune in. First off, can you help me out? And if you're getting this, if you're watching this somehow, some way, even if you don't like it, just help me out because I'm a struggling alternative media news guy. I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I only got about 115 subscribers. So I started it in late 2018. That was after Google started their algorithms to censor Trump supporters and Infowar supporters and all that, and I clearly came out in support of them. So subscribe, and share if you could. I'd appreciate that just as a favor. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got a rebellion that has begun. We got a war, and we're not going to lose it. We are going to win. We got a lot of positive signs breaking up. But before we get into that, let's start the show. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and we're back. So, like I was saying before, we got a rebellion. And if you look at, in case you don't know, our best moves right now, other than just, doing the same stuff we've been doing, which is, that's always classic, wins. Obviously, we're information warriors, which means this is a giant war of perception. And we're truth seekers and truth tellers, basically. And we might not be perfect, but we coming from, at least it's coming from the heart. If we make mistakes, it's genuine. We're not out to deceive you, nothing like that. So we're just basically a ragtag operation of news, a collection of decentralized news outlets that are doing our open source research and our own, mature analysis from our own unique, lives perspective to counter a mainstream media that's just basically a talking piece for mega corporations and government. So basically, before we begin, if you don't know, basically, big corporations, the federal government, and not the state government, but the federal government, and big financial institutions, they're all one and the same. It's been like that roughly since after World War II. Okay, they're one and the same. Okay, so we're chipping away. We're doing our best I can to wrestle back at least the government part, because our best bet right now is to work the political system. Violence, that's off the table. So you got me on record saying that right now. Okay, number one, no guerrilla warfare. Matter of fact, I should put that right here. This is our way to win. Put caps. No violence, and that's what they're looking for. Okay. So you got me on record saying that. Okay. You got me on record. Because a lot of times I get worried about being set up as a false flag patsy, basically. And you got me on record saying it. Hey, no violence. That's what they're wanting to label us domestic terrorists. So we're going to get into this later. But right now, let's just jump into this. Okay, so we got a map here, basically. This is kind of tentatively what's going on with the situation right now. Like I said, our best bet. We don't. I'm not a Republican. I'm a classical. I'm a constitutional liberal, basically, is what I am. I'm a constitutional liberal, libertarian, classical liberal, basically. But I am conservative in some respects, independent. So, when I say these things, like Trump, like President Trump wasn't a Republican. He ran under the Republican flag because that was the opposing party after 2 years of Democrats. That was his best way to win, right? That's clear. So he's basically a classical constitutional liberal. So like right now, the Democrats, right? They control the House and the Senate and the administration, like we did back in 2016 or 2017, actually. So our only best bet right now is all these Republican states, right? Yeah, all these Republican states, for the most part, like own the House, the Senate, and the governor's office. So politically, this is our best bet. Now I tend to like to me the roles have switched over the last like generation. Republicans basically are like what the old school Democrats used to be, and vice versa, right? On a weird like 21st century spin to it. But as far as right now, like Republicans basically, yeah, they're corrupt. I mean, you got the neocons and all that, but essentially they're constitutionalists, and right now that's our best bet as far as hedging against the empire. Is anybody who's basically a constitutionalist. Republicans tend to be that as of right now. So right now the Republican is the team to be riding on, and to ban all this federal government overreach, because that's basically what this is. I mean, this whole thing. I mean, we could debate whether it was manufactured or organic all day long. Now, I personally think it was manufactured, but that idea is a little bit too far fetched for some people, and they're not red pilled enough to really kind of understand that. But regardless, if this whole COVID crisis was basically manufactured or organic, what we do know is that they're using this crisis to do a lot of things, and one of them is a giant power grab. Okay, so the big thing is they want to get mandatory vaccines and mandatory vaccine passports. Now we need to check that, and actually we have checked it. There's a lot of similarities to what happened after 9/11. Now that's another thing. Now we can debate all day whether 9/11 was an inside job or it was from and when I say inside job, I don't mean like the whole government and shit. I just mean like probably a dozen to 2 dozen major players that were in key positions to carry it out. Now, like I said, we can debate that all day, but it's regardless. What we do know is after 9/11, they used that crisis to perpetuate an agenda. Whether it was get into the Middle East for whatever reason, whether it be the control of the oil and the petrodollar system and the natural resources or whatnot, right? Same with this, okay? So we know that like Google and Apple and what we call big tech, they want you to have like a cell phone everywhere you go. If this goes down, right, into where you have to do this like COVID, they were developing the COVID tracking software prior to this even going down. So we can investigate them on that aspect right there. They already had it ready to roll out, okay? But if this goes down, right, you have to carry a cell phone around with you. Now, whether you want to admit it or not, I mean, that's your issue. But a cell phone is essentially like a chip. It's a very sophisticated chip that tracks your biometrics, tracks your location, tracks what you're saying, tracks what you look up, all that. Now that's all. All that is data. Okay, so data is the big thing nowadays. Data is economic warfare, world economic warfare. It's trillions and trillions of fucking dollars, right? So if they can squeeze a little bit of more data, it might not seem like shit to us, but it's billions of dollars. So that's why they give free cell phones to homeless people. Oh, you can't afford a cell phone? Don't worry about it. Here you go. Here's a free one. So, the only here's the thing though. Like, so if you want to get religious and shit, I mean, you could almost essentially say, well, this is your chip. This is the mark of the beast. But at least right now in 2021, you still have the choice, right? Like, yeah, I use a cell phone. We all use cell phones. I don't use it that much. I don't care. I have a burner phone because I don't like to, I don't like all that stuff. And a lot of times when I go out, I don't even carry a phone. I use the phone strictly for business. Okay, when I want to use the computer, I actually have a desktop. Okay, so I do all my work and stuff on a desktop. I got a tablet in case I want to sit in bed and watch movies or whatever. That's about it. I do a lot of screen time, yeah, but at the same time, at the end of the day, I still recognize the fact of what these things are. Okay, so we still have a choice. We can go without a phone or not, right? Well, if this goes down, you have to carry a phone around with you. Okay, that's what they want to socially engineer us to do. That's stage one. Let's not even talk about like 10 stages down the line where you're implanted in all this. And now that's one aspect. Number two is this whole thing. What people should be more concerned about is that the fact that they use this crisis to pretty much bypass due process in the way our government operates, because their only excuse is, and this is a talking point, is that this is an emergency. But here's the thing: by very definition, emergencies don't last 2 years. So talking point number one. Yep. Let's put that down. I apologize. I don't want to type too long because I know I'm going to lose your attention. So I'm just going to make this quick. The feds. I'll put that later. I don't want to bore you. I'm gonna create a whole bunch of list of talking points that we can remember. But just understand that, like, so an emergency doesn't last 2 years, right? So Biden's pushing all these stuff as if this is an emergency. But if it was such an emergency, why weren't these mandatory vaccines passed right away? So it's not an emergency. They want to keep it an emergency, just like the war on terror gives the government like unilateral powers now all of a sudden. Like now because we're in a state of war, the president can like literally bypass Congress by definition and just institute all kinds of crazy things. So like I said, these powerful institutions have taken over the government. They use it's the banking system. They got the corporations, and they got look how corporations pretty much monopolized all of American economy and shit, right? So they're not really in our best interest at all. They're not representing us, the people. They're representing their own interests. If you don't understand that, like, see, we understand this. The people who are fighting this mandatory vaccine, this is what we understand. All these other people, they either don't want to understand it, or they don't. It's too intense for them to like grasp, or they don't care, right? They prefer to be like slaves, basically, and that's the biggest like struggle that we have going on, is that we can't organize a true stiff resistance on political activism because I'm not gonna lie to you, like life is good. It's real weird because we're all well fed, and we're all like very entertained, bread and circus. When you have those two things, it's hard to feel like you're directly under attack. So this is a really like manipulative soft kill. Did they plan it out that way? Oh, I don't really. No, we're just see. We're consumers, so they have to sell products, and we're just. I guess that's a benefit, basically. That's all it is. It's all the good food and entertainment is a byproduct of capitalism, basically. Yeah. By the way, I'm pro-capitalism. All this is turning into like socialism. This is our country already is heavily. We're a hybrid between socialism and like crony capitalism. We're far from like laissez-faire capitalism. And here's another. I want to make one last talking point before we move on because I've already been gnawing on your ear for a while on this. But when they say that, I'm going to make probably one of my best documentaries yet to date in this whole fight against COVID since March 20th, 2020. I'm going to put to bed once and for all this philosophical debate, because that's really what this is. And they're using all kinds of manipulative tactics to try to like paint our side as the bad guy, right? They're using all kinds of manipulative tactics to paint our side as the bad guy. And when I say our side, I mean our side of the philosophical debate. So this concept of like we're just looking out for our individual rights, and that's all it is. And they're looking out for the collective good. So their side is this, they're their brother's keeper, and our side is not, right? And we've argued, here's the thing, okay? And that they're defending, that they're looking out for the safety of kids and their fellow community, and we're not. We're looking out for individual rights. That's false, okay? We are fighting for the people, okay? We're fighting for people's rights. We're fighting for them, okay? We're fighting for their safety. Everybody, it's us that's fighting for the safety. Rights are safety, okay? Rights are what protect you, We're fighting so that people don't become cash registers for big pharma. Anytime they want, they're just going to ching-ching, ching-ching, ching-ching. Or we're fighting so that people don't become commodities for the government. Okay? So we're fighting for people's safety. All right? So we are looking out for kids in the generation and the American people. Because we understand it. All right? So we're fighting for the people as well. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. And I'm gonna create a video explaining that. It's just we don't use manipulation tactics like they do. Okay? They'll roll out a bunch of sick kids and people in wheelchairs and say, see, look, give us your power. Okay? Look at how can you hurt little sweet Judy or whatever. All right, we don't manipulate like they do. They manipulate. They deceive. Okay? So how can you even trust them? At least we're transparent. We might not be perfect, but at least we're not lying to you. All right? The philosophical debate is done, and we won. Okay? And we are not going to allow our citizens to be enslaved under our watch, even if they can't even see that they're being deceived and manipulated. We're still going to protect them. All right, let's get into this. All right, so I'm just going to run through some slides, and then as bulletin points, check it out. All right, so here we go. Okay, so the major players are right here. We got. I'm just going to run through this quick. All right, Minnesota Governor Bullock, Wyoming Governor Gordon, Utah Governor Cox. Nebraska Governor Ricketts, he's a major player. We're gonna talk to him. We're talking about Arizona Governor Ducey, Texas Governor Abbott, he's a major player. North Dakota Governor Bergen, Iowa Governor Reynolds, Missouri Governor Parson, Indiana Governor Holcomb, Arkansas Governor Hutchinson, Tennessee Governor Lee, Oklahoma Governor Stitt, and Mississippi Governor Reeves, Georgia Governor Kemp, even though he fucked up he's an insider. He fucked up the elections. I hope Herschel Walker wins in Georgia. South Carolina, but see, it's an election. That's why he's coming out in defense, because he knows it's an election. South Carolina Governor McMaster's, and then finally the big dog, Florida Governor DeSantis. Real quickly, I'm going to throw this out there. As far as I think there should be a Trump and a DeSantis ticket. You can't have one too many roosters in the hen house. So let's just solve it right now. Trump is the elder. Let's put him as president in 2024, and let's have DeSantis run as vice president. And then after 4 years, because Trump's got to get his sweet ass revenge. I know Trump's going to get his revenge. Okay, so we're going to get 2024. Okay, we're coming up to the midterms, right? We got midterms. Let's win back House and Senate in midterms 2022. So this is our general strategy. But I'm going to create a little video out there, basically saying let's just solve the debate once and for all. That's good. That give DeSantis vice president. You got a dream team right there. And then I say Trump just does another 4 years. Not 8, just 4 because of his age. He's got to get his revenge, and then DeSantis comes in. All right, so check this out. Okay, so let's go over the overall strategy. Okay, mandatory vaccines, vaccine passports, war, states versus the feds. How to win. Number 1, no guerrilla warfare. Okay, for one, and to this day and age, it just can't be done. Everybody, like the FBI, is tracking everybody. So everybody who's thinking about it, you're on a watch list right now. If you're even thinking about it right now, you're being watched. Okay, understand that. Your cell phone's tapped. There's no way to communicate across the battlefield. The only our best bet is to hide in plain sight and to fight open. Right? So that's why we're using this tactic of surveillance. Remember a long time ago in 2019, so this is how we're going to beat them. All right, we can't hide and do all these things like old school, right? So we're going to turn the cameras on them, right, and expose them, and that's all we got to do. So they're using surveillance, and we're using a technique called surveillance. Look it up if you need to. So no guerrilla warfare, nothing like that. Now that doesn't mean you can't defend yourself. We're going to talk about if this plays out and what we're going to need to do, Patriots. We might have to move to Florida. We might have to relocate. But don't ever fucking give in, okay? Number 1, keep resisting. They're about to break. We've resisted for a year and a half. The way they like to try to do this is that they own all the entertainment, they own all the media, they own all sports. So they try to just manipulate you into surrendering it eventually. So once you give in, it's like they didn't take it from you, but they just pressured you enough to just say, fuck it, fine, you're annoying me so much, I'll just give in, right? But don't. Keep resisting, okay? We're about to break them. We've gotten reports out of the UK that the UK has abandoned the mandatory vaccines. If that's the case, that is a massive fucking win. But we haven't verified that yet, so we're still looking to see. So keep resisting. Do not comply. Do not give in. Do not back down. Do not surrender your rights no matter what. Okay? And that goes for you governors. If you're listening, you better fucking get a backbone on this. We can win this if we all hang. Okay? If we all hang, we can fucking win this. All right, number 2. This is our strategy. Okay, write, call, tweet your state legislators. Demand they produce legislation counteracting the federal vaccine and big corporate agendas. Because they're just going to go ahead and go with it. This is just coercion. They know that you're gonna. The biggest thing is they got the corporations on involved. So we're just gonna create legislation that's just gonna eliminate. We're trying to get this as discrimination, basically. Um, all right, number three. We need to organize national protests against mandatory mask wearing and mandatory vaccines. So this is what I'm proposing. Um, proposing protests nationally every third weekend of the month. So I'm going to be out there this Thursday and Saturday. See at the city hall. Every okay, yeah, whatever. So every see, during the weekdays, the city hall's open. On weekends, it's not. But the weekends are good because people work during the weekdays. So that's why I put weekends. All right. So I'll be out there protesting and picketing. Old school picketing, baby. And we don't stop. We don't stop until we break them. And when we break them, this is going to be a massive fucking victory against the cabal or whatever they want to call it. Number four, let's win back House and Senate midterms 2022. Countries of importance: USA, Canada, Australia, UK, and France. All right, we need to watch these. Those are brothers in arms because we're all sharing the same struggle. Australia is being led by Gladys Berejiklian. So what we need to do is find out who her opponent is and who's running against her when their election is, and we're gonna just constantly promote her opponent. If there is even one, right? Now you could argue that's foreign election interference, but the way I argue it is, hey, y'all working together to try to against us. Like there's clear coercion between U.S., Canada, Australia, UK, and France. This happens to be the Five Eyes countries too, or the English-speaking nations. So we all have a common bond. But yeah, they're all on the same board, right? They all want to socially engineer society and all this and that. Why? I don't know why. I guess you're so afraid of China or whatever. But see, they don't understand is that their weaknesses is too reactionary. They're too threatened, and that's their weakness. China knows that. I mean, that's the same thing. It's how we beat the Soviets. We could bluff or front or feint is what they call it, that we have a space defense system that can shoot down ICBMs, and then Soviets get all scared and they react to it, and then they ended up spending trillions and trillions of dollars on a wild goose chase. And that's what China can do the same thing. Like, oh, we're doing all this and that, because we're so fucking paranoid and shit. Like you can't have you gotta have a proper strategy for America, and one of it is like, look, we can't react to every little fucking thing. I mean, anyway, so when I say write, call, tweet, you can get to like your attorney generals. All right, so the attorney generals are meeting right now to discuss strategies. The biggest players. Okay. Republican Governors Association. Check this website out. Okay. Just check it out. I'm just promoting this. You can tweet the Republican Governors Association. They got a Twitter account. Kay Ivory. I want to quote her. Okay, so after Biden had his press conference, I wanted to quote Ms. Kay Ivory. She said this, and I bet, and I quote, "You bet I'm standing in the way, and if he thinks he's going to move me out of the way, he's got another thing coming." Close quote. So that's the kind of spirit we need to support Kay Ivory. I'm gonna tell you who the players are. Check out. Okay, I guess it's not a website; it's just an article. But these states have banned vaccine passports. It comes from U.S. News, titled "These states have banned vaccine passports." Check it out. It's got a list of states. It's probably skewed since it's from the U.S. News, but If you wanted to get some see, Republican Governor Kay Ivey on May 24th signed a bill that bans businesses and government entities across the state from requiring coronavirus vaccine passports. Boom, right? Republican Governor Mike Dunleavy on April 26 issued an executive order clarifying for the public that the state's executive branch does not and will not require any person to produce their personal vaccine history, also referred to as a vaccine passport, in order to travel to or around Alaska. Boom. Governor Doug Ducey, a Republican, on April 19th issued an executive order prohibiting state and local governments agencies from requiring residents to provide their COVID-19 vaccination status to receive service or enter an area, according to new releases. Okay, boom. So it's already been done, right? I already reported that Missouri amended an amendment to ban vaccine passports. But the federal government is just acting like it doesn't exist. All right, the states have already protected the people. So what is going to go on now is that they're just unilaterally just not respecting the 10th Amendment or states in general, because they thought that we'd all just go along with the fear, and they miscalculated. Those days are over. Okay. And they launched this operation from a standpoint of weakness, because of Trump, because of the rise of nationalism, because of the rise of the people taking back control of their destiny. So check that out. I'm going to look into that. Matter of facts. Let's go ahead and save that. I got that on Dex. All right. Here's a major leader we got going on in the game. Doug Peterson, Nebraska Attorney General. He's totally anti, mandatory vaccines. Eric Schmidt from Missouri. Okay, he all the attorney generals from the states have been meeting and going over how can we win this constitutionally. And I'm here to tell you, no matter what, okay, we ain't backing down. If I was governor, I'd be activating the National Guard, and I'd be like, look, we need to increase over the next 120 days. We're gonna go ahead and increase the National Guard to 500,000. So we need recruits right away as a show of force. And I would have a press conference directly saying, President, there's no matter what you're gonna do, I don't care if you roll in the fucking federal army, we're not backing down on this. So I'd say that right to his fucking face. Okay, Attorney General Daniel Cameron. He's a major player. Check him out. From Kentucky. That's what we need right there. This is Kim Reynolds from Iowa. You might have remembered her in this back when Fox came up with this
Governor
town hall meeting.
State has 100%. Rating for kids in school. I mean, all your kids are in school.
That's
You're
her.
one of the first to push this importance of in-person learning. You're seeing kids fall behind in California, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Maryland, states where people you didn't think of as a big liberal state, but still these kids aren't.
It's a nice jacket she's wearing. So she's feisty. Okay, so check out Barnes Law. This guy is a great leader in the Patriot movement. He's an attorney. He's a smart guy. I learned a lot from him. Check him out if you can. I don't see why this guy can't expand his operation. He can't. Why can't he hire 100 lawyers? He could be the head dog of like a massive firm that strictly is out to fight for patriots. That's what we need. Now we got an army, okay? Now we got attorneys, we got engineers and architects. Now we got doctors and healthcare workers, okay? Before, a long time ago, it was just a bunch of crazy conspiracy theories. Now we got an army, okay? We got an army of patriots, and we're gonna win the Second Revolutionary War. Okay, this is important news. Appeal court sides with DeSantis, reinstating Florida's ban on school mask mandates. This dropped on September 11th. So Biden came out with his bullshit on the 9th, trying to intimidate the states. That was a massive a political miscalculation in my opinion on his part. Yours truly responded with a statement on the 11th. I responded with a statement. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's the video right before this one. Check it out. I've been. By the way, I've been taking that statement, the state's response, and I've been emailing it. I emailed it to Holly. By the way, Holly, we need to get Holly back on deck. We need a coalition. We need to all stand together on this hardcore. Okay, all the leaders on this need to stand together. We need the Kentucky from Senator. We need Rand Paul. We need Holly. He's a little discombobulated because of the stuff because of the September 6th. But he's a leader. Okay, he's the one that he had the courage to he was the first ones to lead the charge on the election. Okay, that takes courage. Now he and me did anticipate, that it was going to backfire with the September 6th storming of the Capitol. Okay, that's why it is what it is. But he needs to come back out. And all these governors, as long as you just hang tight, we got this. And then also, boom, on September 13th, DeSantis threatened cities with 5,000 fines for requiring employee vaccines. So we're going to go through all this with a tooth comb and basically explain to you that there's already all these protections for you, right? And another thing too is like when they say like when they were said, hey, look, be what is it? Be civil disobedient or whatever. I'm gonna get statements. We're back on the case, so we're gonna be getting statements from the city halls again. Hospitals. We're gonna keep harassing them for information. But we're gonna talk to police departments and say, look, if I walk into for one, I've been massively like civil disobedient. I just don't put it on camera like what you see on TikTok and all that shit and Instagram. Like I've been kicked out of like dozens of stores, right? And like I get into it all the time. I've been in fights, bro. Like actual fights. I just don't talk about it. But now cops never been called out. So if you walk into a store, right, and they're like, sir, please put your mask on, and you're like, no. And they're like, sir, you need to put your mask on, and you're like, no. And they're like, well, we're gonna have to call the police, and you're like, call the police, and so you just and you do it nice and peacefully. And you go and you do your shopping. Let's say they do call the police. If you live in the cities, can you imagine the response time? Off something like that. Now, if it's unique, like how many people have they actually prosecuted for not wearing a mask? Like they can't charge you for not wearing a mask. It's what they can charge you with. It's like, see, I want to get this exact thing. So we're going to call the courthouses. And we're going to get, what is the exact charge that people get charged with if they don't comply? And they have to make up another charge. See, that's what I'm saying. When they bypassing due process is that they're enforcing something that there's no law on the books to enforce by using other charges against you. Like, they'll charge you with, violating health code or something. They'll fine you, but it's not like it's just like it's a fine. Now, obviously, if the police officer says, "Sir, you gotta leave the store," don't resist that because then you'll get tacked on with resisting. You'll interfere with the police investigation. Resisting arrest or whatever. Don't get that, but they'll just fine you. It's like a city ordinance fine, but they'll think of something to enforce it. So that's what we have to be clear on, right? So, keep being civilly disobedient, okay? I beg you, like we can win this. We're about to win this. Their patience is running thin. They're about to break. We just need to hold fucking fast. They're about to break. Lastly, check out Children's Health Defense. Children's Health Defense. We're gonna be coming back. I'm gonna. I just do this together, but we're back. Like I said, we're going to be calling courthouses. We're going to be getting answers and all this and that stuff. Yeah, but it feels good. We'll write out some talking points, stuff like that. Okay, so I don't know when we'll be back. Probably Friday, maybe. I'm busy. Like I said, I got school and work and stuff. But this is the fight of the century. This is it. This is the great battle right now. Okay. This is the battle. If we check them, it sends a message to the deep state and to the cabal that if for the first time, it's like we have extended our power. Like we don't individually have power, but combined, we're powerful. Okay? That's how it works. All right? A decentralized, powerful entity called We the People.